her family, as well as the family of Chaim Bas David, the Heilig Neshamas, Alei Neshamas should be zochet to a tremendous Aliyas HaNeshaman Gan Eden Shamayla Mechoyel Achoyel Emetz Hashem. Siyata D'Shmaya, here we are this Thursday evening. Baruch Hashem, with a lot of Siyata D'Shmaya, was able to get to Eretz Yisrael. Just got back this morning, just a 30-hour Eretz Yisrael trip to be Menachem Avel by the Mishpacha of the Golden Hador, the Mishpacha of Rabbi Chaim Kanevsky, Zechat Tzadik V'Kodesh Levracha. Was able to stop by the basic Kvaris to the Kefer of Rabbi Chaim, as well as Kayedua the Chazon Ish, the Stipler, many of the Gedolei Olam, Panovich and Rosh Yeshivas, many Heilige Rebbes, all buried there in Zichron Meir and Bnei Brak, able to stop by Har Menuchos, of course, the Kaisel Amaravi, and other Makomas HaKadoshim. So I have a lot of Hergish Nishba very much from the Beis Ovel. I got to spend some time with the aunt of Rav Chaim as well, the sister-in-law, a daughter of Rabbi Yoshev, Rebbetzin, Yisraelson. So we had a tremendous Osiris, a few of us who went. So still holding by Rav Chaim, here we are in the Shiva. The Mishpacha, of course, gets up right before Shabbos, just to, with Siyata D'Shmaya, share another aspect of the Gadlus, of the Golda Hador that we were zocher to in our midst. We have a well-known Gemara Bava Kama. I'd like to share a Chiddush tonight with Siyata D'Shmaya, something I never shared in the shul. Chiddush in a Gemara Bava Kama right before the Mishnah on Daf Lamed Amud Aleph. The Gemara has a three-way machlokes, seems to be a machlokes. Zok the Heilige Gemara Amar Rav Yehuda Haiman Daboy Lemevi Chasid Lekayim Ilad Nezikin. Someone wants to be a Chasid. What's the derech? How do you get there? You fulfill and Yonei Nezikin. Rav Amar, or some have the Girsas Farma Chemer Tzarvina, right? Rav Yishai picking the Gillian, and that's the way we have it in the Rif and the Chidush HaRashba. It's not Rava making the following statement, but rather Ravina. No, you want to be a Chassid, you have to be Makai what? Not Milad de Nezikin, but Milad de Avos, Pirkei Avos, V'Amrila, and some say Milad de Brachas, and Yanei Brachas. So what exactly is going on? And the Maral has two mahalchim. The first mahalch is that there is a shoresh hamachlokes beineim, between these three shittas, and then he says efshar that they all agree, not only be bechinos elav Chaim, but that they all really hold of one another. This one's margish, the chelik corresponds to the nefesh, this one to the chelik of the guf, and this one to the inyan of the seichel, the chelik of the seichel and the mesh. That's the second mahalch. But the first approach of the Heilige Maral in this Chidusha Agodas is as follows. Now what's the Kuda of the Machlekes? There are three Inyonei Shleimus in the world, and this is an important yesod that the Maral carries through his Peirush Derech Chaim on Perkei Avos, starting already from Perk Aleph, Mishnah Beis. When we talk about Shimon HaTzadik, the world stands on Gimel Amodi Olam, those pillars of Torah, voting, and Milas Hasadim. And what exactly are these three pillars? They correspond, of course, to Emes, Din, and Sholem that we have yet again at the close of the first parak in Perkei Avos, but it comes down to the three Inyoni Shleimus. There's an Inyan of Shleimus of a person, Beino Lebein Atzmo, between the mensch and himself. Shleimus number two, Bein Adam Lebein Zulaso, Dahainu Bein Adam Lechavero. And then Shleimus number three, Beino Lebein Kono, Beino Lebein Boro, between you and your Creator. You want to be an Odom Sholim Legamri, Zak the Maral. To be a Sholim Legamri, you have to be a Sholim in all these inyanim. Between you and yourself, Beino Lebein Atzmo, you and your friend, Beino Lechavero, Beino Lebein Zulaso, and number three, Beino Lebein Kono, Beino Lebein Boro. If you have those three aspects of Shlemish, you are an Odom Sholim Legamri Lekoladeis, and that's Torah. Torah brings you to Shlemus. Beino Lebein Atzmo perfects you. Kedusha Naflaman and Beis, you're battling a Yetzahara. Amarasi Yetzahara, Barasi LeTorah Tavlin, Hazokti Ramchal Masosh Sharm. That is the only cure, the only spices. That's how you do the Torah. That's how you get to your own personal, individualized sense of Shleimus. Then you have Gemilas Chasadim. Third pillar, that's Beino Lebein Zulaso, under Beino Lechavero, and then of course Avoda. That's what being an Eved Hashem Ayidei Avoda, Tefillah Malkam Avoda Niskana. That's your relationship with the Eibishter. It's an Indian of Tefillah Ayin Rosh Pikashor Tefillah Davkud Beis, based on the Rashi and Vayetzel Legabe Kriya Shem Naftoli. That's Naftoli. It's an Indian of Escharus Advekus, connecting with the Boreolam as an Eved Hashem. Maral says that's exactly what the Shorish HaMachlekes is over here. Dahainu, What's the ikar way to be a Chasid? The first man, Rabbi Yehuda says, L'kai mila d'nezikin. That means what? Not only to go out of your way and do gemilas chasadim, but to be so nizar that no hezek, no harm or damage will come al yodcha to somebody else, to yedim. You want to be a Chasid, Haiman, the mevi chasida, be mekai mila d'nezikin, go out of your way, l'finishes, and make sure that no hezek is ever caused to any other yid al yodcha. And then we have Mandi Amar number 2, Rav or Ravina. Now, Mila Davos, what do you focus on? Not Beino Lebein Zolaso, but Beino Lebein Atzmo. You want Shleimus. Shleimus, that's the way to be a Chasid, to focus on the Shleimus between you as an individual. And that's what Perkei Avos, learn Perkei Avos, and that's how to become an Odom Sholem. Learn how to be a Baal Midas Tovos. And then the third Mandi Amar says, Amri Lo, it's Mila de Brachas. What's Brachas? That's what leads to Yerushalayim. 100 Brachas, Mei Brachas B'chol Yom, which we said is Marumas in. Dafka in the pasuk of Kim the Yira, that brings it to Yira Shamayim. That's between you and the Eibushter. It's a bracha. You're giving a bracha to the Eibushter, the Rashba, Cherisha Goddess, and brachas Dav Zayin and Aleph. Yeshua Mani Barcheni. What's a bracha? Recognizing Hashem alone is the makar of Kol Brachas Kulam. And you're connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that's the three machlokes as explained by the Maral and Cherush HaGados. How do you become a Chasid? You focus on a specific derech. Is the ikar derech to focus on? Beino lebein atzmo dika shleimus, beino lebein chavero dika shleimus, or beino lebein boro dika shleimus. That's what the nekunas machlokes is ad kan the Maral. I like to perhaps be mamik, and something that I think works with the Maral, but to be mamik, to delve a little deeper. So Birshuscha, perhaps one mahalach is as follows. We're having a machlokes here in the Gemara. Haiman demoy mevi Chasid. You want to become a Chasid. So what does it take to become a Chasid? Now Rabbi say, we have a yesod of the Maral himself, echoed by the Vilna Gaon become a Duchti, Rav Tzadok become a Duchti. You want to understand a word or a concept in Tanakh, you go back to the first time in Chumash it appears. So the Chayra, not only in Chumash it appears, but let's extend that, let's be mamshich the yesod halal. And let's say what? If you want to know what it means to be a chassid, let's go to the first person in history who was called a chassid. And if we could understand why the first person in the history of the world was called a chassid, Lefiyani as daiti, then we could borrow from that and get a little more havana. And someone who's arguing when you have a machlekes amaroim, someone who wants to be a chassid. Well, if I want to be magda, what it means to be a chassid, you got to have something to work with. I know precedent, so let's go back to the first time. Where's the first time we have somebody who was called a chassid? Who's the first person in history, Lefini Astaiti, was ever branded that choice appellation of a chassid? By saying a humble opinion, it's none other than Adam Arishan, the very first man. What does the Gemara say? Let's go to Gemara in the second parak of Erev in the bottom of Yud Chesem and Beis. And the Gemara says as follows. We have a brisa, Hayir Ameir Omer, Adam Arishan Chasid Gadol Haya. Who's the first one who's called a Chasid? Adam Arishan was a Chasid Gadol Haya. Why? Once he saw that Misa came into the world, after all, the Eibishter told him, embrace this part, base posting at Zayit, you're going to die. The famous, parenthetically, the famous from Heshel, Chanukah Satira. And at the end of the day, he didn't die. Yes, the Pshad is he brought Misa, the Musig of Misa into the world. Now, Maisa, he didn't die. He's like the Rebbe Rav Heshel. But we know that Shlucho Shalodam Kamoso. So he sent them out of Gan Eden. Setting him out of Gan Eden. Shlucho Shalodam is Kamoso. I'm even young. Shluchos Lodom, you send them out, that's kemoso. That's as if you gave a misa. Obviously, derech melitza balma. That's the Rebbe Rav Heshel Chanukah Satira. Al Koponim, what happens? He brings mitzvah to the world. So what does he do to be masak in it? Yoshev b'tainis meir shloshim shana. So three things the Gemara says. He sat in tainis 130 years. Number two, pirish v'naisha, separated from his wife, meir shlosh 130 years. The hela zarze tenim, he took chaguras of figs and wrapped them around his flesh for meir shlosh 130 years. From my side, that's why he was a chassid gadol haya. And I wanted to suggest, and this is something I shared a while back, we have a Peladik Gemara in the first parak of Brachas Daf Daled and Manalf. The Gemara cites from David HaMelech and Tehillim, beginning of Kapitol Peivav, and David says as follows: the David Sharma Nafshi Ki Chasid Ani. David calls himself a Chasid. Why is he a Chasid? Zok the Gemara Vayto Levi Rabbi Yitzchak Chana Amar Kacha David V'nei Shmuri Bono Shalom. Lo Chasid Ani, am I not a Chasid? Shekom Achim Yisroch Mayrav Yeshenim Achos. They're all sleeping away. They're schluffing away. V'ni Chatzas Laila Akam the Hodas Lecha. The Gemara Gemara earlier in Dav Gil Amud Beis. He never slept. He slept what? Shisha Nishmi Kasus. The Gemara in Sukkah as well. Tabach Vav Amud Beis. So David HaMelech basically never sleeps. That's why he says the only creature who could best David in the Alkut Shimoni. And the end of the time was Zochel of Daita. When he finished this time, he says, hey, Mr. Who sings more Shira than I do? And who sings it? The frog. That Svardeya comes. The frog. Why? Lefianias Daita. I saw it first in a Snapple.com battle cap. True facts of Snapple.com. And then I saw an extraordinary book of facts on page 12. And then I saw it's really a Zohar. So it's really a Zohar already. The only animal on land that never sleeps is the Tzvardeya, is the bullfrog. Who's the one creature? The best David says, not Gaiva. But in the end of the day, I'm singing praises 24/7. He says, you still have to doze off. The frog never dozes. That's why Phineas Taita, why is it called a frog? I in the Maril, and there's Likutim in the back of the Sefer Menagim, Tzfardei is what? Really a contraction of two words, Tzafrada, knows the morning. Why does it know the morning? Like the Zohar, very geschmack. Of course it knows the morning, because it never went to sleep. It's the first creature that knows the morning. So it says to David, I'm bigger than you are, because I never sleep. I'm Osik and Shira, so the Shvach is 24/7. And what's the Shira and Pirkei Shira of the frog? Baruch Shem Kavon Machuslevo, which is not a pasuk anywhere in Tanakh, but who's highlighting the covenant of the Malchus Abori more than David even. You think you're the Melech down here, the Malchusa Adara that's mirroring, that's a reflection of Malchusa Rakia, the frog. Its pasuk is Baruch Shem Kavon Machuslevo. That's why Phineas Daiti, David is called David Melech, or Melech David based on the Menush Shekol but 52 times throughout Tanakh. But how do you get to Malchus? Malchus is Gematria 496. David needs the frog. Frog is Gematria 444. When you add Gematria 444, to David HaMelech, Melech David 52 times, 444. Gematria Tzvardeya with 52 is 496. Gematria Malchus B'diyuk. To Malchus. David needs the frog by your side. Together they bring out Baruch Shem Kavod Malchusi Lamvod. So that's David HaMelech always singing Shiras. He never has to sleep. The other man here says, no. I'm spending my whole time getting my hands dirty to bring husbands and wives back together, to make shalom, and to paskin, to be matar and isha l'bayla. So here you have fascinating 2 days. So the Velt asked the Kasha, David is a Chasid. David showing off that he's a chassid. Frek the Rif, Frek the Tzodik, Frek the Nesivus, Frek the Marsha, Frek the Ksav Sefer, Frek the Bnei Yisroel and Magid Taluma. They all asked the Kasha, David, David's an Anav. What does he say himself? And tell him, Kapitel Chabez and Pasuk Zayin. Hi, the Gemara Chulun Peitzesam and Alpha. Anochi Tolas V'Loish. I'm a woman. Here he's saying, I'm a Chassid. Frek the Velt the Kasha. Chassid Kasha number 2. Frek the Pnei Yeshua Feiner. And Frek the Bnei Yisroel Magid Taluma. Frek the Netziv in his Herchav Dover and the Hemek Dover and Parshas Osa Bracha 33:9 in Periklam and Gimel and Pasuk Tes Os Aleph and the Herchav Dover. They all asked the Kasha, why have a Machlokes slavery? Yitzchak? Why not say both? I mean, I am Avkis. He's a Chassid because of this, and he's a Chassid because of why should they be arguing? Phineas Taita, let's answer all our questions with the following original Mahalach. And that one, like we said, who's the first Chasid? Adam Rishon. And now why is he a Chasid? Well, David was a Chasid. He was in Tainus for 130 years. And he was Parish Manisha 130 years. But he was called what, Rabbi say? He was called a Chasid Gadol. Remember, Meir called him a Chasid Gadol. Why is he a Chasid Gadol? Because of all those reasons put together. Asanel Phineas Taita. Let's go back to Brachas Daf Dalam now. David Melch says until a pay for. Ala David Shaman Avshik Chasidani. I'm a Chasid. David's an honor. What's he doing? Teretz is he not showing off. David, as we know, was a Gilgul of Adam Rishon. Ayin, the Sefer Gilgulim of the Arizal, Shar Gilgulim, he writes, my first Sefer, Likutei Barshas Azino, Likutei Torah Azino, we know it's an idea, echoed by the Shlah, by the Ramchal, and some of the Ramami Pano. Adam is Rosh Tevis, Adam David Mashiach. David's the bridge linking Adam, his predecessor, with Mashiach ben David, his ultimate scion. What is David? That crucial link that links the two? Writes the Arizal because he's a Gilgul. Ayin, Nefesh Chaim as well, and Shar Aleph and Perchaf and the Hagah, and Ayin, the Hagdamar of Yitzchak Isaac Chavers Poseach Yad Perish on the Godesh Pesach Yad Mitzrayim, that David was a Gilgul of Adam Rishon. That's why Adam was given 1,000 years post the Chet. He gives over 70 because David writes in Tehillim Kapitel Tzadi Pasuk Yud. He makes sure he gives 70 years. Why 70? Because he's not Shlomo. He can only be Mashlim as 1,000 years. Ayadei, the assistants of David. That's why he writes that Risa Gavaldi. What is David called? He's the grandson of Oved, and he's the son of Yishai. He's called what? David is Ben Yishai HaLachmi. What's Lachmi? He's Zok Rizal. Since Adam was put into Gan Eden, Allah Avdo L'Shamra, he messed up, but David would come from Oved. Oved is a tikkun for La Avdo L'Shamra. And since we got the curse Machmas Adam, Davka David Ben Yishai HaLachmi would be the tikkun for the curse of the lechem as Isaac the Arizal. As it comes out very geschmack Rabbi side. David is a Gilgal and writes the Arizal writes. A number of the Bnei Yisoscha brings it, the Al-Kurveni brings it in Bereshus, that Chava was Niskalgel as Batsheva. Sanhedrin Kivzayin, that was a shidduch made from Shesim and Bereshus, David and Batsheva, is Adam and Chava all over again. So who's the first Chasid? First Chasid is Adam, and he's a Chasid Gadol. So now L'chayro, Levi, and Ritza, Brochus, Davdalet of a Machlekes. David says, I'm a Chasid. Notice, he didn't call himself a Chasid Gadol, he called himself a Chasid Stam. So if he's a Chasid Stam, it must be what? That it's an echo of his Gilgal reincarnate Adam, who was called the Chasid Gadol, but he's not a Chasid Gadol, he's only a Chasid Stam. And Meila Feiner, that's why there's a Machlekes. Why was he a Chasid? Are we going to be Margish? Reason number one, that he was Yoshev Batainis, and he was davening to the Eibishter all day. That would be reason number one of the Gemara. Later, answer, what's reason number one? Oh, Machay Mizrach, they're sleeping away, they're schluffing away, and I'm getting up to daven all day, which is the Ikra Avodah Batainis. The other Maniamer says, no, the reason why that made him a Chasid is because what he was Porish Min Ha'isha 130 years. David the Gilgal is Masakin, but what? All the Malachim, they're sitting out goodness and goodness. I'm the Tikkun of Adam Rishon. He was Porish Min Ha'isha 130 years. I'm the Tikkun, and I bring husbands and wives together. Agishmak Rabbi Sek Yisham and Ashik Chasid Ani. Ani is Gematria 61. What's 61? You take Gematria Adam 45. Adam bid David. What's the chalik of Adam Arishan in David? That's the Ani. David says, I'm not the Chasid. Shamanavshik Chasid Ani. Ani is Gematria 61. Adam bid David is 61. The chalik of Adam in David and Melech, because he was the Gilgal, is Gematria 61. I'm a Chasid because I'm a Gilgal of Adam, who was the Chasid Gadol. And that's good for the machlokes between the two. So now Rabbi said, now we get to this three machlokes. The Feiner daiti. You look back at the Gemara Erev in your Chesed Beis. Why was he called Chasid Gadol? Raised three reasons. Number one, Tainus, 130 years. Parish Min Ha'isha, 130 years. And put figs, belts of wrapping with figs on his flesh. Mamish, 130 years, he suffered himself. Rabbi say, interesting. Three different reasons that made him a Chasid Gadol. What's unique about these three reasons? Well, let's take a look. The first one, Tainus, 130 years. That's Beinola Bein Kono, between him and his creator. Parish Min Ha'isha, that's Beinola Bein Zoloso. I was the only other person, human being around in the world at the time. That's Beinola Bein Zoloso. What's number three? Putting Yisurin on his own physical good, Beinola Bein Atzmo. The Feiner Daiti, I say, comes along the Gemara Bava Kama. Why is it Bava Kama? Feiner Daiti, Bava Kama's come out 146. Then remember what's the lotion in the Gemara? Chasid Gadol Haya. Chasid Gadol Haya, Gematria, Bava Kama. And Bava Kama, Lafini Estaiti, there's already a Rem as well. Bava Kama, Gematria on 46. You want to know how to say Pshat in the Gemara Bava Kama? I'll go to the Gemara Erev in your Chesed Beis, Chasid Gadol Haya, same Gematria as Bava Kama. And that's going to give us the answer, you bet. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Haiman, the Baal Melech Chasid, you want to be a Chasid? What should you focus on? Going Maraldik, it's great. Mila de Nezikin. What's Nezikin? The Shleimus is? But no, that's a why. It says you want to be a Chasid. It doesn't say you want to be a Chasid Gadol. You want to be a Chasid. Adam was a Chasid Gadol because he had all three reasons. And Gemara says you want to be a Chasid Stam. That means we got to focus on only one of those three reasons. Rabbi says let's focus on the one that's talking about what? Beinola Bein Chavero. Adam Risha was making a tikkun Beinola Bein Chavero. Him and Chava. You be masakin. Don't cause any harm to anybody else. Right, Isha, Hashanasoti, Modi, she's the one that don't cause any harm. That's good for the tikkun. You'll be a chassid, not a chassid gadol, but you'll be a chassid. And next man, the Amarav or Ravina says what? No, the Kai Mila Da'avis. What's that? Make yourself a better person. That's connected to Yisurin, not the Marishan, causing Yisurin to himself. That's been all the Bein Atzmo. And then comes the Amrila Mila de Brochas. That's between you and the Eibishter. Adam and to Hashem. That's the tikkun for the Tainus. Instead of sitting in a Tainus 130 years between you and the Eibishter. Madrega, what's a higher Madrega? To not be Osik in a Titus, to take the food, but to be Kaddish the food, Ayadei the Brachas. How I say these three, Lefini Estaiti, can I get the three? At Erev in Yechesaves that made all the Rishon a Chasid Gadol Haya. We can't all be a Chasid Gadol, but you want to be a Chasid. Comes the Machlaikis, the Lefini Estaiti, which aspect of Adam Arishan's Chasid Gadol would define him first and foremost as a Chasid? That's the three of Machlaikis. That's where your answer is, because Baba Kama's Gematria Adam Arishan was Chasid Gadol Haya. Chasid Gadol Haya, Gematria Kolol is Baba Kama. And that's your answer, my friends. When we answer the Gemara Brachas Daf Dalet and Erev in Yechesaves based together with the Gemara in Baba Kama Daf Lam and Avan Aleph, and that's what Chaim Kanevsky Zechatzad of Kosh Baruch, who was a Sholem, Beinola Bein Atzma Ayadei is Torah. He was a Sholem in his avodah, his Gemaldiga davening Vasikin Kayadu, never missed a Vasikin in his life. Harav Chaim Kanevsky at Shleimus in avodah and Tefillah and Kayadu Shleimus in Chesed, doing Gemaldiga Chesed for every single time the canary ever came to this. Every room in Shimon Levi, it didn't matter. Money didn't matter. Fame, fortune, everyone gave over himself. That's the Adam, the Ish HaSholim in our generation. He had Shleimus Beinola Bein Atzmo. Ayadei the Torah Kadosha, like none other. Shleimus Beinola Bein Kono, Ayadei the Tefillah and the Avodah, and Shleimus Beinola Bein Chaver Ayadei is Kamilas Sodom. That's the Golden Hadar that we lost. He should be a Melech Yeshua for all of Klal Yisrael to bring us Bias Kol Tzedek Yemos Mashiach and Tchias and Mesim Heirav Yameinu. Amen v'Amen. The Hespedim tonight in Shah Yoshev at 8:30. We'll be hearing from Rabbi Yoman and the Rashiva and Rav Yeager. Everyone's certainly encouraged to come. We should have a Gevaldig night and an Aliyah de Kashamas Kodesh ahead. Brocha and Atzloch and only Besuras Tos Mikan Alav.